Honestly, darling, I love you.
Gonna wash my hands of you. Gonna wash my hands of you. Wash my hands of you. When you got me in your power, your kisses turn all sour. Oh, gonna wash my hands of you.
Inside my head there's a little place left for you. What do you know? What do you know? And all I want is to find out what you're going through. What do I know? Maybe the silence is dangerous.
I wake up every day is a daydream. Everything in my life ain't what it seems. I wake up just to go back to sleep. I act real shallow, but I'm in too deep. And all I care about is sex and violence. A heavy bass line is my kind of silence. Everybody says that I gotta get a grip, but I let sanity give me the slip. Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me.
Bonkers.
I wake up every day is a daydream. Everything in my life ain't what it seems. I wake up just to go back to sleep. I act real shallow, but I'm in too deep. And all I care about is sex and violence. A heavy bass line is my kind of silence. Everybody says that I gotta get a grip, but I let sanity give me the slip.
Bonkers.
Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. And I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Yeah, man, in the floor now. Back then. I wake up every day is a daydream. Everything in my life ain't what it seems. I wake up just to go back to sleep. I act real shallow, but I'm in too deep. And all I care about is sex and violence. A heavy bass line is my kind of silence. Everybody says that I gotta get a grip, but I let sanity give me the slip.
Bonk, 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 bonk.
Some people think I'm bonkers, but I just think I'm free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me. Some people pay for thrills, but I get mine for free. Man, I'm just living my life, there's nothing crazy about me.
All right, now, everybody, quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind. You're going to dance until your feet fall off. You're not able to stand up any longer. But we're going to have a show.
mixer. How we doing this evening? Came up with dinner about 3 hours ago. So, but been planning to open this guy for a couple of months now. Started brewing him here on stream back in October. Unfortunately, Mixer didn't save those streams, and I back then didn't save those streams, so I don't have copies of those ones. I do have copies of my modern ones. I've been copying all of them, taking home copies of everything since the beginning of the year. And so I need, let's see how much I want of the onion here. I'm going to be substituting onion for shallot. Shallot is the proper veggie to use for our Hollandaise, but I am going to substitute out 25 grams of onion instead of 25 grams of shallot. So this was an absolute eyeball guess, but I'll measure here and make sure I got it somewhere close. Hopefully everyone out there is having a good evening. I am looking at chat at the moment, unfortunately. I've got one screen to jump between things. There's a few strays in there, but that's pretty good. I might need more butter than I have to frost. Let's see, how much butter do I need for this? Let me see. Thank you, the auto host. Yeah, auto host. Okay, so we got our 25 grams here. And a bit more. It's not going to break it up. This is also going to get blended, so while I did chop it pretty fine here, I'm not worried about that having any strays in it, really. It's my coffee scale majority of the time, but I'm finding it a little bit handy here for on stream to show you guys what I'm doing. My main scale is off green. So I'll save this for later. How do I want to go about the rest of this? Let's do dice on this. I think that's actually all the onion I'm going to need here, so I'm going to package up the other half of that. See later. I really just started with the onion just because it was on the board here at the moment. I just picked it up last minute because I knew I was going to need it, and it was tucked away. Going to actually start this evening by washing my hands and then working on cake. Because cake needs to cool before I can make strawberry frosting for it. I just pulled the steak out of the fridge just before I started the stream here, so this is still nice and cold. I'm going to leave this out to come up to room temp. And back here on the stove, I have my sous vide set up, my immersion circulator going here on in my pasta pot, so that I can use that to make my Hollandaise. It is currently reading 64 degrees Celsius, which is what it is set at. Got that going just a couple minutes before stream as well. My sink water is pretty warm though, so it didn't have to work too hard to bring it up to proper temp. Let's see. So Italian style cake, or sponge cake. Italian style compared to, say, a French style. I sort of generally associate, at least in baking terms, Italian using meringues or egg foams, and the French is using extreme amounts of butter. So this is going to be an egg white foam cake, or sponge cake, but using egg whites instead of egg white foam instead of some other leavener. And it's a sort of simple recipe, just using egg whites, cocoa powder, sugar, a little bit of pastry flour, which I already have around the house, or it may call for cake flour, but pastry flour, cake flour, when I don't think that's going to matter too much to my deal. There is a difference between the two, but for me here at home and not doing professional cake and not trying to do things exact order exactly every single time. I'm actually sort of making this cake entirely because I was like, okay, strawberries. I've already got some strawberry gelato that I'm not, it's buried in my freezer now, that I haven't gone through, so I'm not going to make that. And so it boiled down to this. Quickly speed reading this recipe for this that I am trying for this. I just grab it back down. Sounds like I did. Oh, is that one? Okay. Where is my baking temp? Baking temp. I've come up to a couple of recipes here, even while just the last, less than a year streaming, where recipes just don't even have the temperatures. I'll leave it at that. It's got it in Celsius at 170, so I'm going to call that 350. I'm gonna separate the yolks from the whites and fluff up the whites as much as possible here. Still need another bowl. All the eggs are going to be used in this recipe. I'm just separating the yolks from the whites so that I can foam up the whites. And then bring the yolks back party after everything's been foamed up. I just did that backwards. Well. Oh, not a ton. Got my. Oh. You can see what I'm doing. I've got 4x separated. I got my yolks, my whites. About to foam up the whites here to make my Italian meringue cake. I've got that last piece of flank steak from Friday. I let that sit in the fridge uncovered for the last 2 days, so that's nice and dry now. And now letting that sit on the counter here and come up to room temp. I first chopped up an onion there. Got some onion for the Hollandaise that is going to be in my immersion circulator, which is on the stove there. That's what's in the pan back there. And I was explaining to people that I'm making an Italian sponge cake, which compared to, say, a French style cake is more about egg whites and egg foam and meringue, whereas French being overladen with butter. Yeah. Okay, I think we're getting good there when it doesn't even settle after I lower the pan or bowl. So, add the first of the egg yolks back in. and the Italian versus French terminology. I think of that when it comes to frostings or icings, which I'll be actually doing neither for my icing, and for cake styles, and for pastry styles too. Granulated sugar. Where's that in back here? I'm gonna add a half cup of sugar here. Stand up. And find a better solution for how I store my strainers. They keep falling over there in this Lazy Susan. So I got the cocoa powder. Not really measuring this, there's not a ton of it in the recipe. We're just looking to get a little bit of flavor. That's more than I needed, but it'll work. Baking with Jason, where nothing is exact. Recipe or not. Bag is gone pretty far from me. I still got quite a bit of cocoa still in there. I've used this for, I think this is the third dish I've used this for. Pastry flour. much. I gotta get that guy in there. To cut him open. I'm gonna have to cut the bag open properly. Do this in segments here. This is also a great, I'm going to have to butter the pan that I'm putting it in. Or, especially if you're not using a non-stick pan. I'm going to be using a non-stick pan, but I'm still going to butter it. Other than that, there's no butter in this recipe. And it's, unfortunately, still deflated quite a bit here with the amount of flour we're adding in. But I still think we're going to get a pretty decent cake out of this. I am going to cheat though. I'm going to add some baking powder. Let's turn on some fans here. I've got that fan on. Let's turn this one on. It's starting to drip sweat. A little baking powder, just to cheat. See, that's why you sift things. Is that part of my bag? Where's that from? Yeah, I think it's part of the bag. Keep whisking because I don't want to develop what gluten there is in the cake flour or in the pastry flour. Where are... Oh, they're all the way in the back. There's one. That's all I need. Butter. Pull the wrapping back and just use the stick. Wait until I get a nice gloss on the whole pan. Making sure to get the corners real good, so I'll hit those first and then fill in the rest. For those keeping track, that was actually only about a teaspoon of butter there. And I've used a fair amount of cocoa in this already. Let's go with sugar. Actually, let's go with sugar in the raw. Add some sugar to the pan here too to coat it, which will make a nice sugar crunch on the outside, and some of it will hopefully caramelize as I cook the cake. Yeah. Coffee sugar holder. Stealing from my coffee supply. Keep in mind that even though I mostly deflated the egg whites here, the egg whites are gonna puff up quite a bit just naturally on their own. And I added even more leavener into this, so. Honest answer is I don't know what's going to happen for sure. I could have added too much cocoa and will deflate the recipe, or don't want to move around too much because you don't want to mess up the sugar on the bottom. sure our pan is somewhat evenly distributed though. I'm not very afraid of raw egg. But I wouldn't suggest sucking down on this recipe unless if you are, or if you're using shady, cheap eggs. Now, I think it's something like a 1 in 10,000 average with commercial eggs of salmonella and but these are pasture raised local eggs, which don't know the stats if that's worse or better. I think it's a much better product. There's a lot of odd trade-offs when it comes to stuff like that, like, you know, is it better done in a completely sterile room or out in open nature? While still being, you know, like, sanitary about what you're doing. Grab a tray, a piece of parchment. Just make sure I don't drip a bunch of stuff on the bottom of my oven and make it smoke for a week. If this somehow puffs up like a souffle, which I don't think it will. And in the oven that goes. Let's see how long of a timer we need for that. Saying 40-minute cook time. Let's do 30 to be safe since we're converting recipes and I'm being generous with my measurements. Okay, give my board a quick clean up here. I've had raw egg on it and I've got flour and sugar on it. But next on the plan is mixing up our stupid simple Hollandaise sauce. Which I often throw together just with a mason jar, but we're going to use the blender tonight. So it really only requires a blender and a sous vide or immersion circulator, which it's not exactly a cheap ask, but this way is a heck of a lot easier than worrying about breaking your egg emulsion. This is throw everything in the bag, cook it all at the perfect temp, then throw it in the blender and watch it become a beautiful thick Hollandaise sauce. after I get the Hollandaise in the water and cooking, I'll then start in on the meat. Almost out of paper towels in that roll. Give me one moment, I'll be ready. Okay. So you need a gallon bag. Have my roughly 25, I think it was 20. Well, I measured 27 and threw a little bit in more. So probably closer to 30 grams of red onion, but this should be shallot if you're going traditional. Let's grab my coffee scale once again here. I'm going to use apple cider vinegar instead of champagne vinegar, which I just don't have around home and I wasn't going to buy extra, but champagne vinegar is the traditional, and so gotta be looking at the right recipe. 40 grams. Wind's messing me up and the bag isn't 100% on there anymore. Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. The bag isn't on there anymore. So we're 20 grams over on our vinegar. I guess I'll just try and ratio it up a little bit here. Butter. No, don't run out of the bag. That's 88. I'm shooting for a little over 150 since the recipe calls for 150, and I'm doing a little bit over of everything else. So let's see where that takes us. 140. Wrong hand. 150. Oh wow. I'm gonna use a little bit more though. There we go. Gonna lose a little weight with the wrapper there and all anyways. So, butter just straight into the bag. Like I said, this is the stupid simplest Hollandaise you could ever make. Anyone that's ever made Hollandaise before will attest to the fact that this is just stupid simple. Oh, good job, Jay. You know, turn away from the mic to cough into the other mic. And 150 grams of water. Or I'm sorry, 60 grams of water, not 150. Getting a little bit over on all my ingredients here. But that was supposed to be 60. Grams of salt, which I should have just pinched that in there, because now it's all stuck to the water in the bowl. And egg yolk. I think we're probably going to do 2 egg yolks with this. But the recipe originally calls for 85 grams. Well, we're going to be using a few more eggs than that then. My complete ignorance to the metric system is showing here. I've done many recipes based off of grams, but when it comes to being able to guess how much it is, no chance. So that was about half of what I need. Oops. broken shell on that guy. I'm not even going to give that a chance. That's been sitting in my fridge for a little bit. In other news, I broke open my thing of pickled eggs that I made on stream earlier this month. And it turned out alright. They have good flavor. I'm still sort of wishing they had more flavor. I mean, that brine has quite a bit of spice and pepper and garlic, and it really didn't penetrate the eggs that heavily. It was more of like a marinating them than it was infusing it hard. I'm going to do one more egg yolk and wash my hands, but look back at the recipe. It says it wants 5 more grams, and I'm going over, so I'm going over. I guess I'm eating an egg white omelet soon. All the eggs in there. Obviously not all of that is quite making it. Get as much help as I can. Alright. Anything else that I'm missing here? Thank you for the follow there, Dark Assassin. The recipe also traditionally calls for lemon juice. People sometimes add Tabasco or their favorite other hot sauce. Why don't we throw a couple of shakes of Frank's in there? The heat will help compensate for the lack of lemon, which cayenne or pepper heat. Since it's sometimes confused the difference between acid and heat. Yeah. Seal the bag up the majority of the way here. Even one little corner here is still attached. Make sure we get that all well sealed. It's not really making noise like normal. Just makes me think that it's not sealed. There we go. And I'm just gonna dip this down. Let me show you guys what I'm doing here with. Dip this down in there and let the water take out any of the air in the bag. quite warm water, so I don't want to leave my hand in there like that. And quick one, grab the clip here out of my clip jar. Clip this over on the side where it's circulating. Still got a little water in the bag, but that'll work fine. Let's see if that looks horrible on stream or... Okay, you can see sort of what's going on there. Got more eggs on my board. These things are gold right now. Onions here. What else am I going to be chopping up here for our veggies while they... Well, let's do... I said I was going to do meat next. Let's do meat next. So, for those of you that have not been around, which I think is the majority of those that are lurking around tonight, I did a 1 gallon batch of meat starting back in October. This started as a 1 gallon batch of just blackberry honey mead. And so we have a base of blackberry honey with very common cider yeast, DV10. And then roughly a month later, I'll look here on the dates after I open this up. I don't want to shake it up too much with the cap on there. I don't want to... It is a champagne bottle, and I don't think there's a ton of pressure there, but still, you don't ever know for sure, especially when it's the first one in a new batch. This thing had a whole bunch of watermarks on it. It's clean otherwise. That's just all that I use this for, so this stays clean. Okay. And so roughly a month after I got that fermented, it did primary fermentation. It slowed down considerably. I then racked that into a second 1 gallon bottle with about this same amount of strawberries that have been chopped up and mashed up and shoved down in there. And so that caused a second fermentation of the fruit of the strawberry along with the already present mead. And because we added, there was a little bit of... That was cool. I should have waited to put that, make sure you guys could hear that. That caused the second fermentation. I allowed that to sit until I started in October. I finally racked it and bottled it, I think, if I can look now, in January. So late January, this was put in the bottle. And this is the first one of 4 or 5 4 of them that I made. Beautiful red rose color. A little bit of golden to the hue too. A bit of shininess. It smells, ooh. Just sweet honey strawberryness. A lot of young meads. They have really, and this one when I bottled it was have very harsh, strong, almost like gasoline alcohol smell to them, and that is quickly ran off of that. That is quite nice. Drier than I expected from the nose. I was worried from the nose that this was going to be a strictly dessert wine, especially with how much I have. This is going to be yummy. It did seem to pick up a lot more of the what I sort of think of the more seedy flavors to a strawberry than the red candy. Oh, this right here. You mean you can't see that? There we go. Against a white background. But yeah, it has a definite, like, you know that came from real strawberries. That isn't like some fake flavoring or something. It is leaving my lips are, I think it's probably deceptively dry because my lips are feeling like they're coated with sugar right now. I mean, it makes sense with how much sugar is in this. That it tastes dry, it still has a decent amount of sweetness. We'll see, I don't have much in the way of legs forming here on this. But it's more of a alcohol thickness. Yeah, it's not really showing great legs right now. But happy with that. I can actually drink that tonight. That's not going to be something that I'm going to be like, okay, awesome, that tastes great. Let's wait on that until dessert. That could probably hand up pretty well to some of the more like savory dishes that you toy with sweet. You know, I'd love that with like I've done pork chop with cinnamon apples before. That would work great with that. Legs. When people swirl a glass of wine or whiskey or alcohol in many cases, it'll form a line along the top, and with lines that come down, and the lines are called the legs of the drink. Push this so that the air rushes to the right side of this. There we go. Isn't supposed to want to float that much. Yeah, there we go. So I obviously didn't get all the air out of that, though there's probably some steam being created from the butter being melted. Let's clean up some strawberries here. I bought these on Friday, so they look beautiful, but they are certainly getting up there in age, and I have not refrigerated them. I've left them open air so they don't lose any flavor. I'm also going to grab one of my protein boards because the juice from these strawberries, without question, is going to stain whatever I'm cutting. So, just going to do a quick cut on them, make sure there's no real mold. Some of them are starting to get on the edge of breaking down. Should be great for flavor, though some of them are starting to not look as great. That one's actually moldy. I'm going to let that one go, but they're getting dark spots on some of them. Oops. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone. You're gone. I think you were the culprit. Wow. Lost more of these than I thought. I checked them late last night before I went to bed, and they were looking okay. Now they're starting to get a little fuzzy. And mold probably won't hurt us, especially I could have probably saved those and used those for the ones I'm going to put in the frosting, because I'm going to cook the strawberries I'm using in the frosting to reduce them down a little bit. Most food mold is rather isn't going to cause you any real issues. Most food rot doesn't cause you most issues. It's when you start mixing outside world with inside of fruits or inside of meats. Alright. First check on our cake. Ooh. Let's give that a poke test here. I am thinking that might be good because it hasn't risen a ton, but it is looking rather dull on the outside. It is feeling rather solid, like a rock solid, unfortunately. There's no give to that at all, so I'm relatively certain that this is going to come out clean. Yep, that is cooked. So we can turn the oven off. And actually turn the fan off too. Okay, so I'm going to let this rest and cool. We have our cake. Yes, it feels good to hold this right now. But a lot of these, I mean, they're nice. They're riper than I expected them to be this time of year. Normally, you cut into something like this, and it's like alpine white. And these are all nice and ripe and red, fresh and ready to be thrown out. good or not here. Let's see. Holes and things are generally not a good sign. So this is almost like it's two strawberries that tried to separate. I actually think we're okay with that. Pull that one little piece of stem off. Yeah, they got some big guys here. This is sort of huge for beginning of the season. Wow, look at that guy. That guy's huge. This is first couple of weeks that strawberries have been in the farmers markets here in Northern California. I know they start earlier in other climates. I think Florida they've had them much earlier. Look at that guy. There's no weight to him at all. He is ready to go. Howdy, Trigger. How are we doing this evening? Cutting strawberries up. I've got chocolate cake cooling down here in front of me. Can't really see that, unfortunately. I've got some dried flank steak to be cooking up a bit later here. Got chopping up strawberries here to make a frosting and garnish for our chocolate cake. I am drinking my first of my strawberry mead that I started brewing here on stream in October. While I'm not seeing any legs in this glass, I am seeing a little bit of residual sugar, which is sort of hard to notice. It almost looks like bubbles in the bottom of the glass, but it's like granules. It's almost more like granules of sugar that are more along this area of the glass. I don't know if you can see that on the. I don't think you can. But I'm very happy with this. This is. It's sweet. It's very bright and dry, but there's no harshness to it at all. It's very clean drinking, and yeah, tasty stuff. Tasty. I'm not getting ready to eat any of the blackberry. I've got a lazy Hollandaise sauce going in the immersion circulator. So that I'm gonna then take and just throw in the blender, and that will be done once it's done cooking, but that's whenever I feel like taking it out. At least I should double check the recipe. Some sous vide recipes, they want to give you an exact time, but you don't really need an exact time. So, got our hollandaise sauce going, or butter, or vinegar, or I'm using red onion instead of shallot. Forget what else I threw in there. A little bit of Frank's Red Hot. Didn't have lemon, so I used. Wow, I lost like a quarter of these strawberries to mold. Unfortunately, I should have probably thrown these in the fridge, even though would have ruined some of their flavor. I believe off the top of my head it's 65C. Let's see here. $64. If you Google it, I mean, there's a bunch of people have done it. It's one of the things that have been incredibly sped up these days. Probably the two things that I think have been greatly increased these days have been Hollandaise and risotto. For people that don't know, if you're looking to make a restaurant quality risotto, all you have to do is cook it in the pressure cooker. You don't have to sit there and stir it all day. So I'm going to take the more ugly guys here and puree them up. And that includes the larger ones that won't cut up nicely into smaller pieces. You're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. Let's get rid of you, let's get rid of you. It's like a fashion contest. Okay. Save these for garnish, for pretty garnish. Pull up the blender here and switch to our blender screen and mute our audio. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a fun time there, Trigger. Just gonna take a moment here and scrape down the sides. It's otherwise pretty well blended already. Give that one more blend. let's change this again. Let's go. There we go. I normally don't put pots on my boards, but I don't mind it too much on my protein boards. These are the idea of the boards aren't really disposable, but the protein boards are disposable compared to my main board. Alright, Trigger, thanks for joining me. Sorry I'm jumping in and out here with the blending. Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of the idea of clarified butter. I don't like the idea of having to do clarified butter in the first place, much less spilling it all over myself. Okay. That right there, as it is, would be a quite lovely strawberry sauce. But I am going to reduce this and then use this as my flavoring and coloring for a frosting for our cake. Mostly just taking the seeds out at this point. Okay, so this is going on the stove to reduce a while. So on a high flame, relatively high flame, for cooking something here. These I'm going to give a quick slice too. It's also sort of a good idea to cut your fruit on a different board, whether you're doing it for sanitary reasons or not, because I mean, if you're cutting onions on this board, you're going to get some onion flavor intermixing with things, and you know, it would definitely be on the luxury end of things for you to go out and buy a board just to cut fruit on, but in order to keep things from mixing flavor-wise, I can see some people doing that. Don't really have an exact plan with the garnish here, that's why I sliced some of them and halved some of them. See what I mean about staining the board. I'll clean this up now and I'll show it again to you. It'll still be red. The red will fade, but it'll take like a week or two. It'll be like I just dyed my board red. Thank you for the follow, the guests. Welcome to the channel. Congrats on your charity stream the other day. I caught a couple of glimpses of that. If you guys are not familiar with Leah Guess, I know she's a partner streamer here doing some mental health streams and gaming and reading and I believe a few other things. Or no, I'm getting people confused here. I apologize. So sorry. Lee, I guess I was in your stream a couple days when you were doing a cooking stream. But you do reading streams, you do gaming streams. Who am I confusing you with? I apologize for that. Look at my list of followers here. I'm getting you confused. Apologize with anxiety. But there you guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the follow. Enjoying my mead that I made earlier this year on stream. It's a strawberry and blackberry honey Melomel. And I was just about to get started into chopping some veggies. This one's, I was expecting this one to be a bit sweeter, as I was saying earlier. This one's, it's still very obviously got a lot of sugar in it. It's making my mouth feel like it's coated with sugar, but it's very dry in flavor at the same time and quite acidic. Got our strawberry juice that I've pureed and strained that I'm bringing to a boil back here to reduce and turn into a flavoring and coloring for my strawberry frosting that is going to go on top of this once it cools down. And so veggies, I'm going to do green garlic, which sort of a seasonal small farm ingredient you'll find at farmers markets. Very similar to normal garlic, but just earlier in age. We're going to do some asparagus here, not that whole amount. Thank you for the host, Jamuna. Let's see, garlic, got that. Let's do a little red pepper. And I've got the onion already. So, it's okay. And then, like a scallion or green onion, I'm going to peel a couple layers to get the dirt off the outside of these guys. Want to make sure our strawberries aren't over boiling here. Blowing can quite help bring that down if you lower the temp and blow on it. Sort of helpful and handy to have the cameras set up so that I can see what's going on the stove from the cutting board in the other direction. Take the stem out of the center of that guy, and it's going to give a sort of simple dice to everything. Not being hugely exact about this. This is almost going to be like the garnish to my dinner plate here, which means I should be paying a little bit more attention to it, but it's going to be a sort of flash of color on top of all the hollandaise, asparagus, and steak. So but if you're in the sous vide, I have Hollandaise going, which is a very simple, the stupid simple version of Hollandaise, where we don't have to worry about the making clarified butter or keeping our emulsion while we're making everything. You can make your vinegar reduction, or even in my case, I didn't even bother with making a vinegar reduction, just added the vinegar in and put it all in the immersion circulator, and then can throw it in the blender, and at the very end, and the blender will just bring it all right back together into a sauce because it's all been at the same proper temp. So that's just chilling in the water here now at 64 degrees, and I'm not worried about that until I'm ready for it. Gonna have a bit extra red pepper here. I'm gonna probably have a bit extra veggies in general here, because like I said, I'm sort of doing these up sauteed as sort of thinking asparagus on the bottom, hollandaise, steak, and then veggies over the top of the steak. Steak being just to my right here. It's been open air drying in my fridge for 2 days now, and I have pulled it out at the very beginning of stream, or just 5 minutes before stream or so it's up to room temp. Green garlic, as I was starting to say before, is sort of a small farm ingredient. It's sort of a thing where farms that are just throwing their seeds in the ground will grow a row of garlic, and then when it comes this time of year, they come through, it's time to thin it all out. They then sell the green garlic because it's usable. You can use all of it. I would compare it, like the difference between a leek and an onion. This is sort of like the leek of garlic. In some ways it's milder, in some ways it's just as spicy, if not more. But so they go through and they thin the field and they pull all the ones that aren't looking as bright or as the best ones so that they have the strong, healthy garlic for their actual garlic later on in the season. Whole place has sort of got this fresh strawberry smell to it right now. It's quite lovely. Very happy with that. That turned out lovely. I mean, it's got a beautiful rose color, or it's half rose, half golden. It's yummy. I so wanted to get asparagus. I went to the main reason that I went to the farmer's market on Friday was to get asparagus, which the farmer's markets around me are still open, which is lovely. They're all keeping, they're limiting how many people are in the markets, and they've got all of their stands set up with extra distance, and I think it's a much better situation actually than going into a supermarket where you're confined by, you know, aisles that have been designed for their carts and stuff like that. But anyways, I went down to the farmer's market on Friday. I'm going to use about half of this bunch, and the person in front of me got the last of the asparagus, and so I ended up picking up some supermarket asparagus. I've got another bunch of it too. I picked up 2 of them because I'm trying to limit my shopping to at least somewhere around once every 2 weeks. But the problem with these guys is these guys are all woody. I mean, the ones that I'll get from the farmer's market, this is one of the thicker guys here. This will be like average size for the ones I'll get from the farmer's market. But this guy is probably woody up to about here. And the ones that I would get from the farmer's market are woody up to like maybe there. So it matters what variety of asparagus too. I mean, you can even just look at them. I mean, they look like they're hard, white. So I'm just going to give up on that bottom part, not even worry about it. You want to use this for a stock, you want to use this for some other flavor, you got a sauce you're making, it's awesome for that. Unfortunately, I'm just going to throw this in my compost. Okay, so we got onion, we got green garlic, we got pepper. What else did I have planned out here? Little frozen corn. Okay. Always good to keep hydrated, even if you're drinking, especially if you're drinking. So the plan here, or the hope here, is to reduce this by at least half, which is going to be rather hard to do because I didn't pay attention to how full it was before. But I am going to take that off the heat here shortly because I need it to cool down in order to finish our... Oh, that's what I should do right now. let's finish that. Let's emulsify some butter into that. Put everything on my board so everything looks pretty here. I'm going to end up emulsifying this whole stick of butter into it. So this will be good for cooling that strawberry back down. Thank you for joining me, Legas. Hope you enjoy your own dinner. And thank you for the host. That's much appreciated. Okay. Oh, it's under the cake. I was like, where'd my trivet go? Okay. So we have our strained and pureed strawberries. And so this is obviously more in the French style here with the tons of butter here, but we're gonna mix all this in. Hopefully it'll stay somewhat emulsified. Hopefully it won't break the butter too much with how warm it is. And the butter is going to obviously add a bunch of fat, but it's going to gloss up the color quite a bit, and it's going to thicken it even further, even though after having reduced it, it's considerably thicker than it was before. Just shot out a piece of butter there, but I'm not going to pick that up. It's been long enough that I should probably do this so that people coming in can actually see what I'm planning for dinner tonight. So that's all the butter in there now. And I'm thinking the way this is steaming, I'm probably still going to have to throw this in the fridge for a little bit to cool down. So we want this cold for adding in with our powdered sugar. It's mostly just powdered sugar at this point that we're adding into it. We're turning it into frosting, so. Slippery little suckers. Yum, yum, yum. But yeah, it's definitely got some sugariness on the edges of that glass. And yeah, this is still hot to the touch, so this is going in the fridge. Just to cool down a little bit. Place it up high in the fridge so that it gets the most air circulation and disturbs the rest of the fridge the least amount. If you put it down in the bottom, it's going to do nothing but release heat and warm up everything else in the fridge. Not that putting warm things in the fridge is ever really a great idea, but if you're going to do so, there's ways to do so that's a little bit smarter. I wish so much that I could have a homemade glass chiller. blast chillers being a commercial product, they're expensive even for commercial products. That's essentially a heavy-duty freezer with a ton of fans in it. That's designed specifically for cooling down products and getting them down to a safe temperature in a quick amount of time. Grab myself some more. When am I saving these? I'm saving all my paper rolls this year for seeds for next year. I'm gonna start all my sprouts and coffee in paper and toilet cardboard rolls. Excuse me. Good with that. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of this. Clean the knife. At least rinse it off. See, I wanted to try and keep the strawberry off of my board so it wouldn't stain it, and end up staining it anyways. Okay. So we're good with this, we're good with this, good with this. Let's package up these egg whites so that I don't have to worry about them. Gonna have to make myself, I was joking earlier, E-Wizard was in here earlier. He's one of the my regulars that also does food cooking streams. He cooks early in the mornings on Sundays. Well, early in the mornings for me because I'm West Coast and he's East Coast. But he was baking bread this morning, and I was joking that he was making something with eggs. I forget what it was, but I was joking he was going to have to live with a egg white omelet, and here I am. I'm going to have to live with an egg white omelet now. So I think I can saute these veggies up a little at a time. Still sort of trying to figure out what I'm going to do for finishing timing here. I want to attack this. Using sunflower oil. I don't use a lot of olive oil. I'll use olive oil. I'll occasionally buy a nice bottle of olive oil. I don't have any in the house even right now. I'll use that for vinaigrettes or marinades or anything that I actually want actual flavor in, but I'll typically use sunflower oil for any time that I'm cooking because it's got a higher heat point, higher smoke point rather, and that's going to be better for getting a better sear on things, better coating on things. I also use my lovely cast irons, which I absolutely love for all that. The only olive oil that I do have in the house is a little bit of spray, but if I'm spraying something, I'm baking it probably at a relatively low temp. So I'm going to saute up the onions, pepper to begin with. Let's start with the onions. We still need to warm up a little bit here. I can tell by how slow or fast the oil is moving in the pan. Zoom. Change our camera slightly, like here. I am going to clean the butter off the floor. is just going to create a larger mess. I can now smell that pan, so it's getting warm. Should probably close my bedroom door so that I don't get smoke alarm going off. But yeah, that's good. It's not smoking yet, but that's close. Turn the fan back on. Starting to get some color, some cooking on those, so I'm gonna move on to getting the peppers in the pan. Probably should have pulled the pastry knife out a bit earlier, but add the green garlic now too. Gonna wait on the corn. The corn will both cook really quick, and it's going to add a bunch of moisture to the pan, so get everything in there nice and happy first. Need more water. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, I opened up, I had egg sandwiches for lunch, but my pickled eggs from earlier this month have turned out lovely. They got some great flavor to them. They're, well, the eggs themselves, they've got some great flavor to them, and but I do wish that the brine had penetrated the eggs as far as flavor a bit more than it did. Maybe should have pricked them with a needle or something like that. That's maybe a bit too intensive for what I want to do for just pickling some eggs, but it was tasty because it still had the flavor like I had marinated them or had, like I had marinated them. It wasn't throughout the egg, but it definitely was on the outside pretty well. happy with the way the onions and the garlic are looking in the pan here. The pepper probably needs a little bit longer. Let's whip out that corn. Let's see if we got one open. I do have one open. Yeah. So just good old frozen organic corn. Absolutely wrong time of year, but that's why I buy it frozen. Thank you for the host, Ryan Wyatt. Welcome. I'm enjoying my mead that I started here on stream back in October. I've got a strawberry and blackberry mead. I've made a Italian style cocoa cake earlier, and working on making a real strawberry frosting for that. I've got flank steak here chilling out that's been open air, so it's dried out quite a bit. It's looking like it's dried out quite a bit, but it's sitting in my fridge to dry out for 2 days now. Asparagus. I'm finishing cooking up a little veg here that I'm going to use almost more like garnish. There's probably more here than I'll need. And I have Hollandaise sauce here in a bag in my immersion circulator that will be going with everything else here. So we're starting to get close here. It's almost time to get ready for cooking that steak. Debating whether I want to blend the Hollandaise sauce before or after the steak. But I am definitely going to turn that off of a high heat and allow that to just chill out a bit longer. I'll set that off to the side. I know it's a little off camera, but I used a DB10, which is a cider yeast, for this, and it turned out very nicely dry, very dry strawberry. It's very obviously got a bunch of sugar to it because it keeps coating my lips and my mouth with sugar, making my mouth all sticky. But at the same time, the acidity and the dryness of it has got me going back to it regularly and not really thinking this is not. I don't think this is a dessert wine. I think this is a maybe a wine where you have a meal where you're playing on sweet and savory at the same time. I said earlier, like a pork chop with some cinnamon apples or something like that. Lovely rose / gold color to it. Okay. Let's do the steak first. So I got my pan on high. I'm going to heat this up for quite a while here. Actually, I don't want it on high. I want it on low so that the pan as a whole gets all nice and hot throughout. And then after a little while, after it warms up thoroughly, I'll bring the heat back up high. But while the pan is waiting here, I can finish up the strawberry frosting, which is just taking the strawberry reduction that I already buried in the fridge here. Strawberry, this is nothing but strawberry and butter at this point. It's a strawberry puree that I strained and reduced, and then added a bunch of butter to, added almost a whole stick of butter in there. And switch to using a larger bowl here. And let's add some powdered sugar to the party. This is where it gets to be a little bit more guesswork. I mean, the recipe I was following before obviously has a specific amount of powdered sugar that they recommend, but did my strawberries really reduce as much as theirs? Am I using the same type of strawberries that have as much pulp as them? I mean, that's really where the difference is these days. Did I make it as thick as her? Again. So I know it's going to probably be at least this much, so we'll add that and we'll add this. This is for later on. I should have thought about that. Oh, and we want some salt because we want our stuff to actually taste like something, whether it's sweet or not. So, add a pinch of salt to our veggies that I didn't salt earlier. I don't know, maybe I'm not thinking about salt tonight. Yeah, nice pinch of salt there with our frosting as well. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to need to about double that amount of sugar in there. Making frosting here after all. It's usually nothing but fat and sugar. Still not there. Still looking rather liquidy too. Let's take a double look at this recipe. See how far off I am here and how much. Oh great, I don't even have the recipe up. At least it was easy to find again. Ooh. Well, they certainly don't have as much sugar as I'm putting in here. So this is obviously wetter than what they had. they also added a little vanilla extract into this, which that doesn't sound like a horrible idea. They added about a cup. I've already added probably 2 cups into that. That's probably another 3/4 of a cup. So we're doing a bit bigger of a recipe here. Strawberry frosting. And it's feeling like I probably will add more. But let's add a little. I like the idea of adding a little vanilla flavor in here in the background. So I'll pull out a little bit of my vanilla bourbon paste. If I can get the cap open. Love these guys. I'm pretty sure they don't sell them anymore, and they'll probably break bottles on you. But if you want something to open a cap, take something off, these will do it. And just the more you pull down, the way the mechanism works, the more you pull on it, the tighter it gets on whatever you're pulling on. Best bottle opener I've ever found, and I don't think they sell them anymore, probably for safety reasons. Oops, that spoon ain't gonna fit. Let's see, do I have any demi-tasse spoons buried down here? Are you gonna fit? No, you're not gonna fit. Guess I get to try and pour it. That's the reason why the cap sticks all the time. Okay. It may be because this is still warm that the sugar is warming up a bit too much, because it does still, it's not hot, it's not really all that warm. But it is ever so slightly warmer than room temp right now. Even with all that sugar added, and even with sitting in the fridge, even with all of that, I think I'm going to have to add a bunch more sugar to this. I think I'm going to have a ton of frosting here. Way more than I need for a cake. I'm now up at least 3, if not 4 times the recipe that I based it on as far as sugar to thicken this up. Now it's at least feeling a bit thicker. It's at least getting somewhat close to the texture that we want for the, or thickness that we want for this. I'm going to throw this in the fridge and see if this doesn't solidify up a little bit more for me. Okay, our pan's been warming up here on a low heat so that the whole pan is nice and warm. Now we turn the pan up on high, full high heat. Pull our steak out over here. Like I said, this has been chilling in the fridge here for 2 days to dry out, so it is looking a bit dark and a bit drier, but that's what I'm after. I want to get a good sear on this, and if you have a wet piece of meat straight out of the piece of plastic, that's not going to happen. So generously salt our steak here. This is a thinner piece of meat. Generally, I'm of the mentality of as much salt as the meat will hold on the surface, because you're usually cutting through a bit more meat. This is a little bit thinner, so that's me being light on salt. We're on stove as main. Let's add let's grab a piece of garlic here too. Gonna quick clean up a piece of green garlic here. One more. I love green garlic. I don't know if I've covered saying that before, but I use green garlic as much as possible whenever it's available around this time of year. So I'm gonna throw that in the pan with the steak here just to get a little whiff of garlic. Starting to get a bit of smoke to the pan, so here we salt side down. Consolidate my dishes here a little bit. I'm apparently being a little bit lazy with cleaning during cooking tonight. Gonna have a little bit of cleanup here to do after the stream, or actually, to be honest, and more likely first thing tomorrow morning. I know a lot of people are of the mentality of not wanting to go to sleep with anything in the sink. I greatly respect that, and I do try and do that, but at the same time, the way I work, the way my mind works, I'm perfectly okay with doing a couple of dishes first thing in the morning while I'm waiting for my drip coffee to finish. And the drip coffee, without waiting on the water, is going to take me 5 minutes, so that's more than enough time to kick through a couple of dishes. I do have ants that try to get into my plants and seem to be seeking water, but I don't seem to have any other sort of insect or pest problems. I can understand that being, people worrying if they have that sort of an issue. Starting to smell that steak. Definitely smell that garlic. And the garlic's more going to flavor the oil than the steak itself, and then that in turn flavor the steak here. There we go. That's a nice crispy color. Got more strawberry on my board. And board's going to be stained red the rest of the week. Might even have to flip it for Wednesday. And I got a small little pat of butter here, left over chilling in the fridge, so, you know, he was feeling lonely. I'm going to pull the garlic out of here. That's going to get to the burning point here. Should be careful doing what I'm doing right here too. This is another great way to start a fire in your house. I'm relatively comfortable with what I did just right there, but putting something oily and hot and potentially even smoldering. I mean, we're talking about plant smolder, and putting that into your compost or your trash real quick straight from the can. That's none of their smartest plans, but I'm okay with how that turned out. Okay, so there we go. There's our nice piece of steak. That is most certainly well cooked. I'm actually worried that I overcooked that. I'm gonna let that rest and relax here for a little bit. Off to the side, and gonna do our asparagus. Same pan, still hot. Gonna turn the heat down a little bit, but while that's going, I'm going to start in on getting the Hollandaise done here, which means I got to clean out my blender once again. Get all that strawberry flavor out of there. I am going to stop my immersion circulator and pull this lovely mess out of there. But it is a cooked and properly temped mess at this point. And like I said before, I've gotten this to come together just throwing it together in a mason jar. But we're going to be a little bit safer and throw it into the blender today. Don't want strawberry hollandaise. Sorry about that, didn't mean to drop that. And there we have a beautiful hollandaise sauce. Nice and not hugely thick, but it's not liquid sauce. It's not water or liquid. I'm going to pull that asparagus off because that's crying to me to be done. So we have our asparagus. Alright, let's see what we got here for a cake. Let's see if I can't get this to turn out onto a plate. Let's see if I'm lucky about that. Oh yeah, right off the bat. Nice satisfying thump. Had all the sugar and the raw on the outside coating with the butter and all that, so that's all nicely integrated in there. It's going to give a little bit of crunch and a little bit of caramelization. Let's see how our frosting is looking. Probably still wet. Too wet. Yeah, it's still a little too wet. Still a little too moist. I need to add a bit more sugar to this still, unfortunately. Empty out my jar of powdered sugar here and empty my house of powdered sugar here, I think, in order to get this to come together. Dangerous thing to do right now. Sorry for the screeching. So sorry for the screeching. Glass and metal don't mix. Okay, we're living with this as our frosting. It's still rather soft and wet, but it'll make a nice, hopefully, glossy coat. Wishing I had a proper mixer here to make sure and get all of those sugar clumps mixed in. Knife here to pull a couple of those out. There we go. That'll be cool. That'll thicken up and dry into a nice glaze here. So throw some strawberries on here. I'm just going to pile a bunch of slices here in the center. Sort of wish I had some fresh whipped cream for this. That would be gorgeous. Alright, we'll leave it with that. So there's our simple Italian cocoa cake with lots of strawberries and our real strawberry frosting, of which I've got plenty more of to figure something else for. Not really happy with the way that cake turned out, for multiple reasons. It didn't rise as much as I had hoped. It didn't hold its rise. The egg whites didn't hold the air as much as I would have liked, and the frosting didn't turn out nearly what the recipe was. I mean, I used easily 6, if not 8 cups worth of flour there for roughly the same amount of strawberries that they said in their recipe, which, so, not very happy with that. Okay, steak. Don't want our steak to get too cold here. Did want to leave it here for a couple minutes to rest. Not get too bloody, but slice that in half, and then, like I said before, flank steak, it's all about cutting against the grain. Got a great sear on that. And yeah, we did do full well done on that, which is not my preference. Maybe a medium well, or maybe a medium well. Yeah, maybe a medium well. There's a ever so slight amount of pink there. You can just hear the crispiness to the sear on the outside. Like I said, I care a heck of a lot more about making that nice crispy sear on the outside than having that almost raw interior. I do like my meat almost raw, but more than that, I care about having good sear on it. So, asparagus. Hollandaise, which, as you can see, is thick enough that it doesn't just straight pour. It flops down on the plate. a bit more Hollandaise over the top. Because, yeah, that wasn't enough before, apparently. Oops. Licking my fingers here. It's not good if you're cooking for other people. I'm cooking for myself, so I'm not too worried about that. And then sauteed veggies down here at the bottom, just to sort of give us a little color pop and hide the bottom of the asparagus. Pinch of salt here at the finish. A little fresh cracked pepper. And that looks like dinner to me. I don't want to throw this away, that's good juice flavor. Grab my phone. My phone's been sitting on the charger this whole time. It's more than fully charged. Alright. So, yummy dinner time here, guys. Apologize if you guys are hoping for someone that eats on stream. I am not that type of guy. I am going to go and enjoy this and watch a couple other streams of my own liking. Would like to thank everyone for joining me this evening. We had a ton of people jump in and give me hosts and say hey and lurking. Got a couple of new follows. Thank you for joining me earlier today, Leogas. Thank you for the host. Hopefully you're having a great dinner. And Jabuna, thank you for the host. Rhino, Rhino Line, E-Wizard, BU, Mrs. Toggs, all you guys, y'all, thank you so much. Hope you all have a great evening. I'm going to leave you with my closing slideshow because I am going to go and enjoy this loveliness. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.